All right, so looking at the first two things I have on the board, find the volume of each figure, run your answer to the nearest. In the quizzes, I go for the nearest tenth. If necessary, leave your answer in terms of pi for answers that contain pi. So question number one, I see there's a base, which is a squared, and I see there's the same base again. So that means I'm dealing with the prism because I see the base twice. Volume of a prism is the area of the base times the height. The base is a 3 by 3 squared. So I'm going to say the area of the base is 9, right? 3 times 3. Rectangles, you just multiply those sides. The base could be a triangle, circle, for whatever it is. The height is the number that has nothing to do with your base. So the height in this case is 6. So I'm just going 9 times 6, 54. That's on the volume of a prism or a cylinder. What was it again? That is Tuesday stuff. Now, looking at question number 2, I see the base is a hexagon, but I only see it once. So that means I'm dealing with a pyramid. That's yesterday stuff. So I know for the volume of a pyramid, I have to go area of the base times height, kind of like we do prisms, area of the base times height, but we divide it by 3. Right? We saw that yesterday. Why? So the base, the polygon, each side is 8. There are 6 of them. So I'm just going to say 48, right? 8 times 6. 48 times 6.9, which is the apothem, divided by 2. All this is just for the base, though. I'm going to highlight it yellow. That's just for me to get the area of the polygon. Right? That's just the base. Once I figure that out, I'm going to multiply this by 9, which is the height. You guys can see that's the height. And I'll divide this by 3. Area of the base times height divided by 3. Let me multiply this out. We get 496.8. Decimals, if you get them, rounded to the nearest tenth, 1 decimal place. On the quiz tomorrow, you're looking at 2 of each. There's a total of 10 questions, so that's 4 right there. Any questions on these? No? Okay. Then on Monday stuff, we were looking at circles. So given that the center is -3, -9, I'm asking for the equation of the circle. Given that the x value I see is -3, I'm just going to write x plus 3 squared. I'm going the opposite sign. Given that the y value is a -9, I'm just going to go y plus 9 squared. I'm doing the opposite sign. In between the parentheses, I always put a plus. Always put a plus. And this is going to equal to the radius squared. Now, I see radius is a whole number in the radical. If it was only the 5, the whole number, if it was only the 5, my radius would be 25. Right? 5 squared. If it was only the 5. If it was only the radical 3 squared gives me 3. If it was only the radical. Now, because it's both, I'm going to multiply those two numbers. 25 times 3 will give me 75. And then 2 of that one. Yes.
So we just square the 5 and we don't do anything to the 3?
Technically, we square the radical 3, so that's how we get just the 3. Okay. So when you square the radical, when you have, for just this example, radical 7 squared, you're just going to get 7. When you square a radical, you get rid of the radical sign. Okay. Now looking at question number 4, we can see that the centered is the point 3, -2. That's the center. So I'm just going to start with x minus 3 squared, right? I do the opposite sign on the x, plus y plus 2 squared equals, then I have to see the radius. The radius in this case is 2. It's 4 squares. However, if you compare it on the axis, between 1 and 2 is 2 squares, right? So 2 squares is 1. So 4 squares on the radius, that'll be 2, right? The radius is 2. So radius is 2. 2 squared, I'm going to let this equal to 4, right? Radius squared. Once again, 2 of each on the question mark.
Can you show us some examples on those?
Number 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4.
Just on the
Yeah.
yeah, just on that.
Let's go this one. All right. The centered, in this case, is the point 4, negative 4. That's the center. So I'm just going to go x minus 4 squared plus y plus 4 squared. Once again, I change the sign on the x and the y. Equals, now the radius in this case is 3. Each squared in this case is 1. Squared. Squared. So 3 squared, I'm going to call this 9. Right? Now when I give you guys the graph as a picture, my radius will be a whole number. Whole number. When I give you the radius, like question number 3, I can do radicals in those.
On the tests, we have to draw it in everything, right?
We will have to draw those as well. So any questions on these? No? All right, so we said 2 of each. So that's 8 so far. The last question, which is 2 on the quiz, you will have to graph the equation. I'm giving you that equation, x squared plus y plus 4 all squared equals 5. So the center of the circle, I'm going to say it is 0, negative 4. On the x, because the x is by itself, quote unquote, that's x minus 0, quote unquote. So that's why the x value is 0. So the center is 0, negative 4. The radius is the square root of 5, because 5 is radius squared. So the radius is the square root of 5, which is roughly 2 point something. It's a little more than 2. Right, we can use a calculator to figure out. It's 2 point something. All right, so the center is 0, negative 4. There's my center. Radius is a little bit more than 2. So from the center, I'm going to go up, down, to the right, to the left. Each direction, I'm going to go a little more than 2. So if I go up, I'm going to mark that point. Notice I went 2 and a little bit more. If I go to the right, it's a little more than 2. If I go down, and if I go to the left. On each, I went 2 and a little bit more. Have a rough idea where the circle goes now? And that will be it. On the quiz, since it's all graph, 2 things I'm checking. Half a point if you get the center right. If you get the center right, half a point. The other half a point if you graph the radius right. So, and then 2 of those on the quiz.